Get that started. All right, welcome everybody to our second Small Business Virtual Town Hall. I'm Jay Reed. I'm the chapter chair of School Mentors, or the local chapter chair of the New Orleans chapter. I have a couple people here tonight to talk about various topics such as business continuity, finance, such as the new legislation that came down and some of the things that are available. We'll also touch on mental health, especially in this time right now, as everybody's really isolated, and different things that we can kind of do to keep ourselves mentally healthy. Like I said, this is our second town hall. We had our first one on March 25th. We have two more scheduled after this, just to keep everybody informed and answer any questions that any may have. All right. And like I said, these are our topics: business continuity, financial resources, communication, and mental health. Our supporters are, of course, SBA. A lot of information that we need right now as far as our resources that we have for keeping our businesses afloat financially. A lot of the questions can be answered at sba.gov/disaster. They have a lot of the stuff, a lot of the information that is available to the public is on that website regarding the COVID-19 response. We also have LSBDC that can help with planning business continuity and helping you work through the applications that they have out there for the different resources. As well as SCORE New Orleans, neworleans.score.org is the website. You can visit us for the same purposes to help you get through these interesting times. We also have Fund 17, which is another local nonprofit that helps in the same manner. We all have our specialties, and Fund 17 is no different. They will help with planning for business continuity. I know they've done a lot with marketing and financial services. We also have True Fund here today. They signed on today to help share the information that's out there and that we can use to be successful in these trying times. You can go to truefund.org for information as far as what they offer and some webinars now that they have, because they have moved everything online. LaShonda from True Fund will be able to give us more information about what they have going on to help everybody. If you wanted to dial into their office, the number's up there, 504-293-5526. And of course, info@truefund.org is the email address. And finally, InterSystems IT Information Technology Services Company. They assist with securing your internal networks, and at this time, setting you up to work remotely. So if there's any questions that you have, they can help you with that. So I got through that part of the discussion. I want to introduce some of the speakers today. Of course, we have April Ham, who will be moderating the program. We have Ashley Garcia from Fund 17, and we have LaShonda Renee from True Fund. And of course, I'm Jay Reed, the chapter chair of School Mentors. So April, I will turn things over to you to kind of get things started.
Thanks a lot, Jay. And hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. We do have sort of an agenda today. We have Fund 17 has a lot that they want to share with us. I'm going to actually just basically give them the floor for most of the time. If any time during the program you have questions that come up or a resource you want to share, please do use the chat feature in Zoom. We are checking that, and we'll try our best to add all the resources to a a shared resource as we continue to develop this as we go along. And then I think I'll save at the end a few additional resources that I have if they don't come up anytime before. Let's see. To get started, I think let's actually start with TrueFund. If you can introduce yourself and tell us about your program and what resources you're offering right now.
Hi, how are you? This is LaShonda Renee. I'm with TrueFund Financial Services. I manage our programming here in Louisiana. And right now we have several things that we're doing in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. TrueFund works with, let me back up. TrueFund is a CDFI, a community development financial institution. And what that means essentially is that we're a mission-based lender. So we're mission to serve entrepreneurs of color and entrepreneurs that are in low to moderate income communities. As well, we have a focus on women-owned businesses. So in addition to us being a lending institution, we also offer business education and technical assistance and advisory services to the entrepreneurs that we work with. And so we've been working with this population of businesses for many years, and disaster recovery is one of the major pillars of our organization. In fact, the organization was born out of a disaster in 9/11. And so that's when we began to serve small businesses, was in the wake of 9/11, and have continued to expand our reach into various communities, including our own here in Louisiana, as we've been able to step forward and be a resource in times of need such as these. And so right now, what we're doing is we've been able to completely transition to a virtual implementation and offering for all of our programs. And we have one in particular that I really would like to raise, and that's our small business resiliency and disaster recovery program. And so each week we focus on some area of need or some area of a sort of fundamental business area that we really are looking at from the lens of, in this COVID-19 environment, what is it that we can do now? What are some tips and strategies and techniques that we immediately implement, or information or resources that we can immediately access to be able to help to safeguard our business at this time? Truly unprecedented and really challenging for so many small businesses. And so that really been what our clients have told us is this program has really been an opportunity for them to feel centered, to feel connected, to feel resourced each week as we go through some topic area that is very relevant. So for example, this week, as in tomorrow, each session is held on Thursdays from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. And again, it's offered virtually. And we have decided to, or elected to, leave the programming registration open to any small businesses that would like to participate, whereas normally we close our cohorts and we work in the same small group of folks over several weeks or whatever the period of time is. But given these times and the need for small businesses to have immediate access to information and resources, we've elected to leave that registration open. And so interested businesses or impacted businesses are welcome to join us each week or not, as a topic area is relevant to them and they feel that they need support around that. So this week we're focused on communicating in a crisis, records management, and technology management. And so each week we focus on 1 to 2 topic areas, again looking at the immediate use or application of information, as well as looking at that sort of long-term strategic understanding of what we can do to safeguard our business. And so we work with the participants of this particular program to pull together a business resiliency and continuity plan. And we also offer one-to-one support in this program. So certainly share with Dave the registration information and link that he can share with you all if you're interested in participating. So again, it is not too late to do that, and that's an immediate resource that you can tap into. We also, of course, are a small business lender. And so we have small business loan products that are available for women entrepreneurs who are seeking capital to mobilize or to sustain contracts. We also have our COVID-19 disaster recovery emergency loan fund that was launched yesterday, and we are offering that loan product to our current clients and those who have been impacted by COVID-19 and have not been able to access funds through or qualify for funding through the SBA products that are available, and or their need has exceeded what they can access through those programs. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have, and we really appreciate you guys including us, and we're here for you as a small business.
Thank you so much, LaShonda. That's really great resources that you guys are offering, and the weekly program really sounds great. I'm definitely going to try to help you get the word out. Certainly, a lot of the questions we've been having coming in, I think, could be answered by participating in that program. So thank you guys for doing that and for sharing it with us. I'll pause now before we go on to our next participant, just to see if we have any questions so far that have come up. Any questions for True Fund? Well, actually, I do have a question. So you said that right now you're opening it up to anyone because of the times. But can you tell us a little bit more about your cohort program for people who may be interested in that part, either now or after everything kind of settles down?
Sure. So our Renew Small Business Resiliency and Disaster Recovery Program is a 7-week program. We meet weekly with small businesses. This particular cohort is scheduled on Thursdays from 5:30 to 8:30. It's offered virtually. So once folks register for the program, we're able to get that link to them to have that virtual access that they can utilize from anywhere, including their mobile devices. And I believe I mentioned it's 7 weeks. We're covering a variety of topics from building a resilient business and continuity planning to understanding and mitigating risk, small business contracts, negotiations, and the law. We're looking at really key areas related to access to capital, related to the ability to respond and rebound. And so this is a program that, typically when we're working with businesses and small group cohorts, we're usually looking at 5 to 15 folks at a time that we are working with. Typically we have our sessions or our programming in person, but for the last 2.5 years, we've actually been doing a hybrid approach where we offer our programming in person, but also that we have online access for all of our programming currently. So for us, it was a really easy transition and really quite seamless to be able to respond in this current COVID-19 environment. But as I mentioned, typically we close that registration at a certain point, and it's the same participants that work with each other over that 7-8 week or however long any given program is. And with this particular program, or excuse me, with this particular time, we're actually leaving the registration open. So week by week, folks can elect to participate in a program based on a topic area that they might be interested in, whereas before it would have been closed to only those folks who had registered in advance for that cohort. So that's typically how our cohort programming works. There are several hours that we meet with folks weekly. We also then have a component of our programming that is focused on one-to-one business advisory services and technical assistance. And so that's where we're working with the individuals who are participating in that cohort programming to work through the development of some sort of plan, or they might be pulling together a loan package. There may be several things that they're focused on, but it's very tailored to what their individual business needs. So the one-to-one sessions are very tailored and customized, and so they look different from client to client. But ultimately what we're looking at is focusing on some area of need that has come up in that programming topic area that has been covered, that we're focusing on helping that business owner to flesh out, some sort of plan and or just to be helping to be a thought partner to think through maybe some troubleshooting that they're trying to do or planning, etc. So that's typically how that works. We do have a digital marketing program that is beginning on, I believe, April 27th. And that will be a 4-week program where participants can really get some great strategies and some support around navigating the digital marketing and having that sort of digital presence, as those who participate and complete that program actually have access to 2 years of free web hosting if they want, when they complete that program. So that's a great partnership that we have with GoDaddy. And we have a marketing professional who facilitates that. And so we've had some great feedback from that program. And that too is a small group cohort where we meet together, and in this particular setting, we're doing that virtually for whatever the time period is for that given program. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you so much. And just to clarify, for the one-to-one business counseling, is that something that people can also still sign up for now?
They can. Typically, we reserve the one-to-one advising to our program participants that go through the cohorts. But, you know, given times, we have been really sensitive to the needs of individual businesses that may not necessarily be able to join us for the programming in the cohort setting, but really do need, you know, a little bit of time in that one-to-one setting. We also, once that one-to-one support, you know, maybe is beyond our capacity, we then also connect them with additional resources that may be able to spend some more dedicated individual time with them as well. So we always rely on our ecosystem to support our clients as well.
That sounds really good. And then finally, for the current cohort, it's open to everyone now, but has it already started in terms of the topics and the weekly meetings for anybody new who wants to join? At what point in the program is it currently?
Yeah, gotcha. So we are in week 4 of the current program, and we have 3 more weeks after this week. So inclusive of this week, we have 4 more sessions for this particular cohort. So we also record our sessions. So for those who decide to register and participate in the full cohort, they can have access to those previously recorded sessions as well. So it certainly is not too late to participate and get access to that information.
Okay, that's wonderful. And then is there a cost to participate in the program?
No, we have generous support from our funders, and that allows us to offer this programming at no cost to our participants.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here again and for answering all the questions. Before we move on, I just want to pause to see if anyone who's joining us today has any additional questions for True Fund. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands or any comments in the chat. So let's keep going. Thank you so much again, LaShonda. And next, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley from Fund 17.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have a few things to talk about today, but I just kind of wanted to start with who Fund 17 is. So we are a local nonprofit that provides inclusive business support and capital to New Orleans entrepreneurs. We have different programming like our Benchmarks program. There are 6 one-on-one sessions to help you establish foundations for your business. Capital Ready, which is an 8-week program that provides entrepreneurs with financial education and opportunities to network with financial professionals one-on-one. And then we also have our Be the Boss cohort, which is a 10-week program that we're for entrepreneurs looking to expand their business by going full-time or hiring their first employee. The last part of who we are is our community business incubator. The community business incubator is a new space that opened in fall of 2019. There's different membership tiers, like a $15 a month membership, $25 a month, $50 a month. Memberships give entrepreneurs the opportunity to pay for printing, bookable rooms for up to 2 to 4 hours a week, workspaces, and just being able to have a space where you can rent computers and other digital items. So that's just a little bit about our programming, what we offer. Very similar to TrueFund with the one-on-one technical assistance portion, and really focusing and honing in on the individual needs of each of our entrepreneurs. Are there any questions about us in general? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about today is the updates on SBA disaster loans, the PPP, and then the GNO Pivot program. There are a few different items, so I'm actually going to post updates from these in the chat as we go along, and feel free to chime in wherever you see fit. So for SBA disaster loans, right now we have the economic injury disaster loan that recently came out. If you've applied for an EIDL before March 29th, you have to reapply for the up to $10,000 advance. Most likely the loan advance is based on the number of employees, and it's up to $1,000 per employee. Any questions on the EIDL, or does anyone have any comments on that? Jay, do you have any input on that?
Nothing more than what you've already said. It's another program a lot of people should take advantage of at this time, because it's a financial resource that they can really utilize. So everything you said is pretty much what I would have said as well.
Yeah, and what we've kind of been gathering on the daily phone calls with the city and multiple partners across New Orleans is that things are constantly changing day by day, hour by hour with the disaster loan assistance. But that's the most recent update that I think is a change from the last time we had a town hall. But the SBA website has all these updates on there. That's just something I wanted to share in this webinar.
That's something that should be mentioned is, and I'm glad you brought up that point. That's right now, they're going to ask for a lot of patience because things are going to be changing very rapidly. Mm-hmm. Normally, the type of stuff that we have coming down the pipeline usually takes a couple of months of planning to get everything launched properly, and they're trying to do this in a matter of weeks across the whole country. So it's going to get done, but just keep in mind there will be some delays because of how fast they're trying to put this together, and there'll be a lot of changes, just like we saw in the last couple of weeks, because they're trying to get clarity on how things will be processed.
Perfect. And I'm also going to paste in the chat, tomorrow at 11:30 a.m., there is a business community SBA, SBDC presentation about coronavirus relief funds. It's hosted by the City of New Orleans, but it's basically ironing out a lot of those up in the air questions. It's going to talk a little bit about timeline, which you're touching upon, and just kind of giving more clarity to the process itself. I'm going to paste that in there. Okay. So we're going to move on to the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, CARES Act, stimulus, large conversation, something that we've been talking about with the city and the Office of Economic Development. Right now, you should be able to get the PPP from your own bank. If you are turned away, Hope Credit Union has said that they will be working with people even if they are not already banking with Hope. So to kind of give more information on that, there have been a couple of entrepreneurs and businesses that have said that they've reached out to their bank. some large banks, some smaller ones that have said at this time they're not participating. But Hope Credit Union is there to work with those individuals. And you can definitely go on their website and reach out to them. They're working around the clock to make sure that New Orleans entrepreneurs and businesses are served. Interest rates were lower to 1%. They were initially at 4%, then 0.5%, and now back at 1%. And this is as of yesterday, that 1%. So you're seeing kind of like a volatile change with interest rates for the PPP. Again, as you work with your banker, whoever is assigned to you, make sure to check in on that and to see what they are seeing in the market when applying. 8 weeks of payroll and rent are forgivable. Not more than 25% of the loan should be used on non-payroll and rent expenses. Funds used to pay independent contractors are not forgivable. That's extremely important. Again, when you're working with your banker, make sure you iron out all of your finances. You're going through who you're working with, if they are an independent contractor, et cetera. And then the last update we have on the PPP is that independent contractors may also apply for PPP on their own. So a couple of points to just kind of take in, and these are all updates as of yesterday. Some banks are saying you cannot get both the EIDL and PPP. From what we've been hearing, again, going off of city phone calls and conversations between bankers and entrepreneurs, this is untrue. They might be saying that you cannot use it for the same thing, or that they have their own internal policy. So that webinar that's scheduled for tomorrow should actually touch upon a lot of those nuances and different items. But
excuse me, Ashley, this is LaShonda. Excuse me for interrupting, but I did want to address that. Entrepreneurs are able to access both types of funding. So they can access the economic injury loan product as well as the PPP loan product. And to the point I think you were starting to touch on, it's a matter of allocation of benefits. So anytime there are federal funds being used, they can't be used to fund something else that already has had funding to cover it. So if you received insurance and or you've received funds from somewhere else to cover, let's say, your entire payroll, you would not then qualify for that PPP component that covers payroll, because that would be considered a duplication of benefit, and or vice versa. If you're applying for both the economic injury and the PPP loan, you just really need to be mindful of what your full capital needs are and which product you're going to use for what expense, to make sure that there's no duplication of benefit. That's essentially what the conflict is, but they can apply for and qualify for both products.
So when they're going in and talking with their banker, they have to be very transparent about where they want to use each product and if they have applied for something previously.
Absolutely, and documentation will be required for both products. So they just need to be prepared to provide the required documentation now and potentially in the future. Typically for these types of loan products, they're tracking them over time. And so there may be an effort to come back after 6, 12 months or longer to assess how the funds were used. So people will just need to be prepared to submit documentation up front to verify that they have a need, and then on the back end to verify how the funds are actually used.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. That was, I think that was a gray area that was talked a lot about on the city phone call. So we'll make sure to make note of that on our end too. Okay, perfect. Any other feedback on the PPP or the EIDL from anyone?
I do have a question, either for Ashley and or LaShonda. And that is, some entrepreneurs and small business owners have trouble with the documentation component. Are either of your organizations able to assist anyone who needs help with that part?
Yes, from Fund 17. On our end, we've been working with entrepreneurs going through that documentation that we just touched upon. So whether it's going through your finances and your statements and putting things together. What was mentioned on a city phone call last week, there was a concern with how to document tips and different things. We were told that they are being, I want to say the words flexible, but they are open to working with what documentation someone has. But we are working one-on-one around the clock with folks to try to prove what we can. That way, 6 to 12 months from now, everything is in order for that entrepreneur. True Fund?
So right now for the PPP program, TrueFund has been focused on its current clients. However, we are open to supporting small businesses that need help with the completion of forms. So folks can just respond to that email address that was shown on the screen earlier, and I'll also put my email address in the chat, and folks are welcome to reach out directly.
Perfect. Any other questions about documentation? Okay, so I'm going to move on to the GNO Pivot Program. As everyone knows, COVID-19 is leading large companies to seek new local vendors for high demand supplies. You can register your products on the GNO Pivot website. I'm actually going to put the link on the chat. And earlier this week, we actually had an experience where we connected an entrepreneur that produces hand sanitizer with the hospital due to using the GNO Pivot program. We also had another entrepreneur, Old New Orleans Rum, that repurposed their facility to produce hand sanitizer. And this program is just basically opening up more opportunities for entrepreneurs to continue to sell their products or to essentially pivot, as the word itself shows, and market themselves. So that's live on the chat. We've had 2 successful transactions this week, and we're hoping to have more. And you can definitely benefit from this being matched with local vendors. TrueFund, have you guys used the GNO Pivot program at all?
No, we hadn't really actively used it, but I'm looking through the link now, and we definitely will moving forward.
Yeah, it's I think we also last week on one of our committee meetings, we were talking about the NoFab email blast too, which seems to be kind of doing something similar, just in more of a organic email way. So I think the GNO Pivot program is just an easy way to just submit and be matched. So those are 2 organizations that are really trying to assist people with networking and being able to be connected to vendors. Okay, so that's what I have regarding updates for SBA, PPP, GNO Pivot in the past couple of weeks. Does anyone else have anything to add? Any confusion? Okay, and then moving on to webinars and events. So there are a few other webinars that are coming up this week. So Congressman Garrett Graves is hosting a webinar tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning, and that's actually going to go over the PPP program. I'm going to paste that in our chat as well, and that'll kind of go over the those small nuances of understanding what's forgivable, where funds can be used for, how do you differentiate between the independent contractors that are not forgivable, and then also talking about interest rates. The last webinar that I have listed here is from Delgado. So they're actually hosting multiple with the SBA. I'm going to go ahead and paste this one into the chat as well. These webinars, and I think they also said this on Monday on the city phone call, there will be more coming. These are going over more specific areas of the EIDL, and are definitely a great resource for anyone that's going through figuring out if this is the right product for them. The last webinar that I have on here, / event, is hosted by Congressman Cedric Richmond, and he's partnering with Liberty Bank CEO, Alden McDonald. They'll be providing a high-level overview and information on recent updates related to FFCRA and the CARES Act. This is a great webinar to kind of understand what the next couple of weeks are going to look like. Going back to what Jay was saying earlier in this conversation about time and how things are going to roll out and how that would affect your business. So all of those events and webinars are all pasted in this chat. And I'll also make sure to send an email to Jay for the follow-up after this. Any comments on any of that? And all of those webinars are also listed on the fund17.org website /COVID-19, where we also have links to other webinars, services that are happening around town, whether it's food access, anything related to childcare, etc. So we have some updates on grant opportunities that are great alternatives to loans during a time like this, and they do not need to be repaid. So there are 2 new business grants that we've added to our resource list. The first one is the Bumble Small Business Grant that's available for funding up to $5,000. The second one is Business for All, which is a grant for up to $10,000. And then again, under our resource list on our website, there are more grant opportunities for women, artists, actors, musicians, freelancers, gig economy workers, and also for spouses of workers. Office Ops is also offering a free cash flow analysis. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in the chat as well. This is extremely beneficial for looking at what is the best product for your business right now, whether that is applying for the PPP, the EIDL, or going the route of applying for these grants. And then also just understanding where will I be in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months, and being able to have those conversations with yourself and contingency planning. And, you know, if anyone does do the Office Ops cash flow analysis, you know, they then want to bring that over and talk to someone at Fund 17 about it, they can definitely reach out to us. We're able to help with the same kind of planning. Go ahead and paste this one in there. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to go over as just general PSAs and things for entrepreneurs to be focusing on right now. So there is a NOLA open hashtag that businesses are using to promote their business. If you are someone that has pivoted their business, that has changed their model, and you're really trying to connect to new customers in New Orleans, we definitely think that the power of social media is upon us. So using that hashtag is great. Originally, it was used for restaurants, but we've seen a lot of folks who are selling hand sanitizer or masks, etc., using the hashtag. And then I know that TrueFund, you actually just touched upon media marketing a little bit earlier, and that that's coming up soon for you guys. Did you want to add anything to social media marketing right now and how important that is?
So what we have seen, and I'm sure everyone can attest to, that at crisis is when it's really most critical to be in sometimes I think we think about our stakeholders only in one way. We might not necessarily think about like our internal stakeholders or our, various community partners that we might have. We might be only thinking about, maybe our direct client, not necessarily thinking about our vendors and suppliers. So just being able to be nimble and be able to leverage the different platforms that are available to stay connected with networks, but also to keep people informed, about and let people know that, you're still in business, and maybe, you had a business that was really oriented towards, being B2C, very in person, but you have now successfully pivoted to really being able to offer your product or service online, and or you have a new product or service, but people aren't aware. There's just certainly it's critical and key to be able to make sure that the messaging is consistent and that people are hearing from you what you want them to hear about your business.
Yeah, we definitely agree with that. Keeping the consistent messaging, and then we can actually use that to segue a little bit into mental health. And so going back to, being in a time of crisis and trying to understand what's the best next step for your business, connecting with others, and also taking care of yourself. I know 2 weeks ago on the original town hall meeting, we had an entrepreneur who shared, a lot of what she was going through, and that, being able to come to a town hall meeting like this was really powerful. And so we've actually added a flyer with a number of mental health resources to our website. And there's also there are also a number of hotlines available for folks through NOLA Ready for anyone that's experiencing anything or needs to talk to someone. But we definitely want to encourage folks to reach out, to have conversations, to use the resources that are available to them, to get involved with these webinars, to reach out to all of our partners that are on here, to keep momentum running. That way, that time of crisis can kind of be turned into a positive. And I know mental health is a big point on this webinar. Does anyone else have anything to add? Any comments? Any stories that they want to share?
I guess we have a quiet crowd today, huh?
Yeah.
Well, April and Ashley, this is LaShonda. I would certainly like to share a bit about that. So something that I've seen on the personal level and the professional level is the use of platforms like what we're on tonight, Zoom, and other types of virtual platforms where folks can have sort of face-to-face virtual time. On the family side and friend side, we've had several sort of family friend calls set up, and you can really see and feel the difference, even though, we would all love to be together and, embrace each other and, be able to hear directly how folks are feeling and what they need, but still having that sense of community and camaraderie and having each other's back, even if it's from a distance. I've seen and experienced to be really, really helpful. As an organization, we meet in small team groups weekly or every other week, and our president really rotates through those different small groups to check in with everybody and really get a sense of where people are, how they're feeling, what they're needing, acknowledging the fact that this is really an extraordinary time, and it's requiring us all to step up in ways that many of us have maybe not had to do prior, and or to take on workloads that far exceed what we normally maintain, and for an extended period of time. So this is such can be for some of us a really stressful time, in addition to just the potential financial insecurity, but just the managing all of the demands. I know for myself, I've had there are days where I feel like I can't even get through my emails, much less get actual work done. So being able to really tap our neighbors, even if it's virtually through a FaceTime or through a Zoom, or, calling on friends or calling on coworkers to just take a moment. We've also been offering yoga sessions for our staff Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings. And we're going to be doing some midday yoga offerings. So, and we've been doing this virtually. So that supporting, having a supportive network and really relying on our networks. This is the time to rely on each other, but also to say when we need help and when we need support.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think finding ways to like move and, going outside to get fresh air, of course, social distancing and, getting out of that routine. Because if you're sitting down in front of a computer and going through, 10 Zoom meetings and trying to attack your email all day, and then also, if you're an entrepreneur trying to pivot your business, it can become overwhelming. And we have to lean on each other right now. Something that we actually talked about last week in some of our meetings at our org is the power of starting each conversation, whether it's you're doing one-on-one technical assistance or it's a board meeting, just to check in of how are you doing mentally, health-wise, and spiritually, but however you want to say it. And just starting meetings on a positive note, with everyone kind of connecting with each other, instead of just diving into the meat of everything. That tends to be really powerful and can just set up the Zoom meeting to be a lot more personal. And, it gives you a moment to share your experience and what you're going through. And I also did want to share that we were having conversations with an entrepreneur who was a family counselor, who went through some of our programming years ago, who also wanted to possibly offer services. So that's something that may be coming soon on our end as well. Anything else that anyone wants to add on the mental health aspect? Any comments or sharing?
No, I do want to just say something short. I know we're doing a lot right now. Everybody's going through a lot of changes right now. Everybody has a lot on their plates, but always keep in mind that you have to take some time out to just step back and catch your breath. The reason I say this, I have a sales background, so I've seen salesmen go through this where they're constantly trying to make the adjustments they need to make to accomplish what they're trying to do, and they never think to stop and just take a breath, and they burn out real fast. With the environment that we're in right now and everything coming at us so fast, don't forget to take a few minutes and just step back and just take a break and breathe, because this is gonna be hectic for a while. You don't want to burn yourself out. You don't want to make yourself too stressed out or anything like that, because that just adds on top of the issues that we're dealing with right now. That's all I have on it.
Yeah. This is April. I'm going to chime in. Firstly, just piggybacking off of what Jay was saying, yes, burnout is real. I have been there, and I'm definitely one of those people that likes to work all the time. And when things are stressful for me, my strategy is usually just to work more, to take my mind off of whatever is bothering me. And, that's really not healthy. It's really not. And really now is not the time, for that, especially. And I think that as leaders, it's a real challenge for us, because we need to take care of ourselves in order to be there for the people we're, wanting to support. And so just, to kind of give ourselves permission to be in that space, to ask for help, to accept help when people offer it to us. I know, at least for me, it's a lot of times when you're going through something, you may not even realize that, either you're going through it or that, your work is suffering. but it's important that when, someone cares enough about you to reach out and say, hey, I noticed you were really tired at that last meeting, or hey, your work hasn't been quite up to par, to not, get defensive or not take offense, but really accept, where it's coming from, that it's coming from a good place, and just allow yourself to take that time out for yourself. That being said, I did want to share a couple of quick resources today. And I think for next time, we're going to have some other mental health people available to participate in the meeting who couldn't be here today. But for either for you or for any of your stakeholders or partners who may need it, there is a specific COVID crisis hotline. Of course, there are lots of hotlines going on right now, but I will share this number that I do know some people have found helpful. I'll put that in the chat in a second. And then also for anyone who needs further support beyond a hotline, the Center for Hope is I think is, I'm not sure of their capacity, but they are, to the extent that they can, offering free therapy services. And I'll share their number in the chat as well. Before we move on, is there anybody today who needs help either right now that you'd like to maybe speak to someone privately right away? I hope you feel comfortable to speak up. You can message myself or Jay privately. Please don't suffer in silence. I will share just, personally, I take medication for my mental health. I have recently started speaking out more about it and really becoming an advocate. I definitely have been through a lot in my life, and it's really hard. It's very difficult, and especially when there are a lot of things happening outside of your control. It can be even harder because, especially if you're someone who likes to plan and likes to have control over your day-to-day activities, then, something like this is just kind of like, your whole world is just upside down, and it's really easy to get to a place of just really not knowing what to do next, So I encourage, any of you, if you're feeling any kind of way, today, don't be a stranger. Don't suffer alone in silence. Reach out, call the hotline. If you don't feel like you have, anyone in your personal life, definitely call those hotlines. And again, feel free to message me directly if you want to get put in touch with support that will work for you.
April, I also wanted to, I just want to thank you for sharing and being so transparent. I know that takes a lot of courage. And I also wanted to add, the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce actually held a mental health webinar. If anyone would prefer to go about it that way, maybe just going through it digitally instead of making a phone call, but I'll also put that in the chat as well.
Thank you for that.
April, should I continue with the last two PSAs that I had on here? And then we can kind of open the floor? Okay. Yeah, just wanted to give a moment in case anyone wanted to share. So some other updates. There is a hotline available for unemployment insurance. The city has redeployed staff to run a call center to support New Orleans workers trying to file for unemployment benefits with the state. Their new number is 504-658-4500. That's 504-658-4500. and that is for unemployment insurance. The reason why they did this is the phone lines were starting to get clogged with calls about all different items, and they really wanted to make sure that they were handling things in a more organized manner, and they wanted to free up the lines for some of the other topics we talked about today. So again, that's a new hotline for unemployment insurance. And again, it could be someone in your household that you want to share that with. There's also a number of programs available to bartenders, to folks that work in hospitality, all on that COVID-19 Fund 17 link. The next PSA announcement that we have is there is an IDEA Institute scholarship for a comprehensive business education program that's being offered by Idea Village and Loyola. They are partnering. I don't have additional details about the amount of the scholarship, but if anyone's interested in going the academic route for business education and taking advantage of those resources from Idea Village and Loyola University, you can definitely go to the Fund 17 website. The last PSA that we have is rental assistance. Again, this is going back to just kind of looking at business owners and entrepreneurs and, taking it from a holistic sense of it's not just your business you're dealing with every day, it's also your home, your family, your mental health, and just looking forward and trying to figure out what to do next. And we know that rent has been a large topic across the U.S. So the rental assistance program that's being provided by the city is available through the Mayor's Office of Community Development, known as OCD. And their number is 504-658-4200. That's 504-658-4200. Or you can call the Total Community Action Office, TCA, and that's 504-882-7181. And this is to begin the intake process. There may be new developments about the rental assistance program. I know the last time that I took a look at this on Monday, there was a limited amount of spaces that they had available. Again, everything's changing by the hour. There are new updates every day. But we definitely want to touch upon, looking at yourself holistically, not just at your business, but also you as an individual and your personal finances, and making sure that's in check, because that's extremely important. I would think first before your business. And it can definitely help with navigating that mental health aspect. And then before wrapping up the PSAs, I know the chat, there are a couple of questions coming in. So I'm just going to pull that up quickly. Okay. So please repeat the hashtag. The hashtag is NOLA Open. Hashtag NOLA Open. Also, in addition to hashtag NOLA Open, NoFab, NOFAB, is the group that I know has a great email chain going on, and they're doing something similar to that G&O pivot program, where people are just emailing and they're saying, hey, we need X amount of hand sanitizers at this hospital, or we need masks, and an entrepreneur is able to say, hey, I've got you for that amount or that order, I can get it to you by this time. So just going back to the old ways of just, what do you need? This is what I can provide at what cost, etc. Thank you, April.
You said, I'm sorry, you said that was NoFab,
Yeah,
NOFAB hashtag?
Yeah, hashtag. Yeah, and then if you go on their website, or if you Google NoFab, I think they have a platform. If not, I'll put details on how to get on that thread in the chat as we open up the floor in a few, but that's the NoFab group. I've heard really great things, and again, it's just going back to the old ways of connecting people and figuring out how we can all, get through from today to tomorrow, especially with the needs that we know the hospitals have right now during such a critical time. Let's go back on this group chat. Thank you, April, for putting the phone numbers in there. Perfect. And then I got a couple of private chats that I'll respond to in a second. So last thing that Fund 17 has on their end, or on our end, is we wanted to really talk about entrepreneur issues and questions. So some things that we've been seeing on our end is between just different industries and markets. A lot of the entrepreneurs that we've been working with, restaurants or food-based entrepreneurs, have said that restaurants need more grants. Especially if it's an entrepreneur who is depending on working at a restaurant and they were maybe furloughed. So that's a comment that we were hearing here and there. Some other things we've been hearing is with the EIDL and 1099s. So April, I think you brought this up earlier. Freelancers are having trouble with 1099s. Some of our recommendations on that is let me just pull up notes. So here we have, your clients won't be eligible for forgivable loans for contractors. You would need to file on your own and are considered a business even as a sole proprietor. So we recommend attending the webinar tomorrow with Delgado and really understanding how to file on your own. And then some other things to just kind of throw in there and open the floor a little bit. Tenants are, not tenants, entrepreneurs are saying they're no longer selling at events, so pop-ups. They're not making sales from retailers. So just going back to that understanding of how do I restructure my business model to be able to continue through the next couple of weeks. Some ideas that some entrepreneurs had on our end are Top Box Foods. They are selling products from local farmers by delivery, selling gift cards, doing pre-sales. If you have a Square, you can convert your inventory into an e-store. Etsy is also an easy-to-use online marketplace. Going back to when we talked earlier about like Zoom and all of these different digital products that are out there. And then there's also old strategies. So, asking for referrals from your past clients and customers, and depending on the current network that you have, which TrueFund actually touched upon earlier. So those are just a couple of things that we've been talking to entrepreneurs about. I just kind of want to open the floor if anyone wants to talk about any of that, whether it's frustration with the 1099s or their market being gone, or, how do I actually tap into that old sales strategy? Just want to kind of open the floor for that. And that's for anyone. Okay, we don't have any comments. April, do you want me to elaborate a little bit more on recommendations for tapping into personal networks and how to kind of go about that? That's something that's been a big topic at Fund 17 this week.
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay, so the major overlying issue as I stated earlier, is being unable to do business in person. And when you're sitting down and you're saying, okay, I can't do business in person, but I have, X amount of customers that I've been serving for the past couple of years or the past couple of months. So, as we all know, there are a lot of people that are going through things that may not be able to spend right now, but you still want to engage with those customers, just to kind of let them know that you are still here, you are still in business. And it's also just a great time to see if they have any needs that you can then pivot your business to. So you can use this time to follow up, maybe send a check-in email with any of your customers just saying, hey, I hope you and your family are doing well. Maybe sending, a kind note, letting them know that you're thinking of them, and then maybe asking if there's anything if there are any products or things that they need. And that can kind of put you on the path of being innovative and figuring out what you can offer. TrueFund talked about this earlier. Updating your messaging is extremely important. So we've seen this all across the board. I feel like 2 weeks ago, everybody got an email from their car insurance, from their doctor, from every restaurant about how they were responding to COVID-19. And it's important to see yourself as an entity too. And letting people know, this is how you're responding. You may not be selling, but this is what you're offering. So making sure that your social media is updated, making sure that, your bio maybe has something. And it can be simple, just, a simple one sentence, one line, just explaining where you are now, and if you're still operating, how you're operating. Cold calling is also an old sales strategy to go about. People, I think right now, love reconnecting with their networks. So I've seen it a lot just in my personal networks, just, getting a text message from someone checking in, hey, how are you doing? Or getting a phone call from a loved one that you haven't talked to in a while. Don't underestimate the power of calling your customers and, making sure that they're okay and leaving a kind-hearted voicemail. The other thing that you can do, you can also call vendors that you maybe worked with. If you're an entrepreneur who is selling packaged products and you bought some of your packaging from a certain vendor, checking in with them, seeing how they're doing, and that could then be your partner, and you guys can try to figure out how to go after some of these markets that we're seeing from hospitals or from restaurants or anyone that's just being innovative right now. Another note we had on here from an entrepreneur was hiring an external company to provide a list of leads to your business, and then cold calling and emailing those leads. Of course, that's if you at that point want to spend that money on market research. But again, don't underestimate the network that you've already created and those that you have access to. And then the last point that I just kind of want to touch upon is the power of information. So today we've pasted and sent links to multiple webinars and phone numbers, but also maybe seeing this as a time to maybe sit back and say, okay, what were some of my goals for 2020? What were things that I wanted to work on? We know that we've had a number of entrepreneurs who were planning to work on their digital media strategy, whether that was updating their social media or figuring out, new rebranding. And maybe that was something that they were planning to do later in the summer or later in the year. So they're just reorganizing their calendar to do that now during a time of, where a lot of things are unknown. and just using that to be the fuel to keep going, and looking forward to the next couple of months when we're able to come out of this time. And that's pretty much everything that we kind of have on our end. And those are all recommendations from our entrepreneurs, our staff, conversations that we've been having between business case managers and folks that are that were a part of our cohorts and that are still part of our Fund 17 family. If you go to the Fund 17 website and Facebook, you will see we have started to post a number of entrepreneurs who have restructured their business. And again, going back to folks that are selling hand sanitizer, we had an entrepreneur that did walking tours through New Orleans for his community, and he is now doing digital walking tours. So he's took advantage of the power of technology and all of these amazing platforms that are available. And, kind of saw what was going on with museums, where I think NOMA the other day and some other national museums, you can now digitally go in and take a tour through the museum. So he was able to sit down, restructure, and still serve his clients that way. But that's pretty much all that we have on our end. I'm going to go ahead and respond to some people in the chat. April, do you have anything that you want to talk about from the agenda that we had outlined for today?
I do want to maybe go a little bit into some of the service-based businesses who can't operate at all. Like for example, the different or I guess people who provide hands-on therapy services like massage therapists. And then like your list includes photographers. So maybe, and this is open to everyone, just any ideas for those people who are really struggling to come up with ideas for pivoting from, offering something that's 100% in person, that kind of requires them to be in person, either to transitioning to something else virtually, or pivoting altogether. Just any ideas that you have around that, or if you have any clients who've come in already, who have kind of started to think of ideas. I know that another group who's really feeling it is gym owners, and also some athletes who were doing things like personal training. Some things you can offer virtually, and some things you really just can't. If anybody has any ideas or resources for that crowd of people who were only offering services, who don't have products, and whose service that they were offering can't be offered virtually.
So something that I saw on social media that was really cool is, there's a running joke with I think we're in the time of Aries. So, it's like the joke is Aries are in their house and not able to celebrate. And I actually saw some folks buying gift cards for someone who has a birthday during this time. So maybe, offering e-certificates and gift cards, just doing that pre-sales platform and marketing it in a way to where someone will say, hey, I'd love to, buy a massage for someone, or, beauticians, and having a special link and maybe a discount code or, a package. We've seen a lot of folks do Zoom dinners and, group functions and events together, and, offering them a discount. Hey, I saw you guys are hosting something, I'm offering XYZ for when, these times are over. And that's just a good way to kind of lift spirits during this time and still be able to, make some sales. Also on the gym owner's end, I know that a number of fitness instructors have actually gone for that goal of one day wanting to offer digital online gym classes, and they're actually doing Instagram lives. So tapping into networks of groups of folks and saying, hey, I'm going to do an Instagram live at 8 a.m. work out with me before your morning meeting. And then you have accountability, and they're putting a tip jar on the live. That's what you were actually seeing with a lot of DJs. I know, not G&O Inc., New Orleans Business Alliance did a fundraiser for our gig economy workers last Saturday, and they raised a substantial amount of money. So you also had musicians on there. And I think just tapping into the digital products and really getting creative on how do I still market myself? How do I still build my network? Because everybody's online right now. And, you know, adding in the option to be able to purchase something online, or going through a tip jar, or using PayPal. So those are just a couple of ideas that we've seen through social media. And what we've also seen listed here. Nola Cajun is actually hosting online products for local restaurants. So that was a way for them to pivot, where they know that local restaurants are no longer able to get some of the products that they were maybe getting from other sides of Louisiana. So they're saying, hey, we're here. We're able to host XYZ for you. But I think brainstorming and reaching out to organizations like True Friend, like Fund 17, and talking through your business with someone, that's what's going to set you up, especially during a time where you need to be able to bounce ideas off of other folks.
That all sounds really good. Thank you for sharing those ideas. And I totally agree that now is the time to reach out for help, especially, you know, with it being so readily available and accessible. The last thing that I think we probably should touch on is for people who are wanting to pivot to some type of digital or virtual service, or offering pre-sales online and that sort of thing, but who lack digital skills, or who maybe have some, fear or anxiety around doing business on the internet. Do your organizations provide support for them, either in terms of training or doing it for them? What types of services are available for those folks who, you know, see that the way to go is digital and virtual, but really don't know how to get started?
So this is LaShonda with True Fund. I would lift up our partnership with GoDaddy again. That program is really all about establishing a digital presence, looking at your strategy, evaluating what's the best model for utilizing and leveraging digital sources. So that's a resource that we have. And again, that class starts on April the 27th, and it'll be, I believe that's a Monday evenings for, I think, an hour and a half or two. So it's a great way to pick up some ideas, as well as have access to free web hosting. So this is a great time to, maybe if you don't have a website, or you're looking to retool your website, to be able to access a resource that could be really valuable.
Yeah, and I also wanted to promote Grow House Studio. I just pasted a link to their website. So they are a partner at Fund 17. They're a pop-up digital marketing team designed for small business growth. We are in the process of discussing what it would look like to turn our programming over to online workshops. There's nothing set in stone just yet, but we are having weekly discussions and talking to our team about it, and seeing where Grow House is able to assist. But I would definitely give them a follow on all of their platforms. They discuss mobile, the power of like mobile optimized website development, videography and photography, content strategy, email marketing, design and distribution. These are all things that they work with people on, but at the same time, they do offer a lot of things on their blogs and tips and tricks. I also want to add in, going back to the power of just information and what's out there, a number of platforms have opened their subscription services. So I know on Audible, you're able to download different ebooks. A lot of podcasts have removed their fees. And I think, it can be very empowering to hear someone else go through their fears and things that they've dealt with from their own stories. Also, don't underestimate the New Orleans Public Library. They have a number of books and, instructional videos that are free to the public. And you're able to download some of their information and just simple how-tos and resources to kind of, coach yourself through it. But yeah, those are just some ideas. And stay tuned for our partnerships with Grow House and what we may have coming.
That's great. Jay, do you have anything to add? I know that your company, you were saying, does a lot of that.
We have a couple of resources. To piggyback off of what LaShonda was talking about with TrueFund, they do have GoDaddy, and one of GoDaddy's partners is Google, and Google has a Grow with Google platform where they help people learn how to utilize those resources, and it's all free. I want to say in the beginning of May, we should have an actual webinar scheduled with Google. I'll get that date out as soon as possible once I get the links and everything. There's a webinar that Google will host to try to help everybody get more familiar with how to use a digital platform, especially all the platforms Google has, such as Google YouTube. They have the Google business page and a couple of things that will be beneficial for everybody. I actually put a link in the chat area for Grow with Google, so you can see what resources are available and just take advantage of that free resource. Also, we'll be moving more toward virtual webinars and workshops, so we'll be adding more things to the mix, especially in the context of connecting with people. And keep in mind, the main school website has a lot of videos, templates, and ebooks on marketing and communications, amongst other things. It's just it's like a digital library specifically for entrepreneurs. So you can find a lot of stuff there. And of course, the School of Mentors, we have a couple of marketing experts, financial experts, and different and professionals in different fields that can guide you in the right direction. Whether it's assistance through SCORE, if we feel that TrueFund or Fund 17 or one of the other local partners is a better fit, we'll direct you to the right path.
I also want to just add, I'm going through our resources, and again, we are adding things daily just from partners and folks that we've worked with. Blake Berticelli, I'm going to paste it in the chat. His company is offering free web development to businesses affected by COVID-19. And I'm going to go ahead and put his link in there as well. And there's a number of other platforms too, just to kind of touch upon what April was talking about, those fears. And I just think there's a benefit to having someone walk you through that. And I also think the Empowered Digital Marketing Program that TrueFund's doing is really great, because you also have, how many people are going to be in that program, LaShonda?
So given that it is a digital program, we have actually people participating in Louisiana and Texas and Alabama. And so on average, we've had about 20, 25 people participating, sometimes up to 30, just depending on what the demand is at that time.
Nice. And will they have the ability to kind of, whether it's like a Facebook group or like on here, we're on the chat, kind of lean on other folks who are in the program? I know that's something that our entrepreneurs at Fund 17 have always enjoyed, being able to not only just talk to staff or anyone running the program, but leaning on others to see what difficulties they may be having. Will there be opportunity for that in there too?
Yeah, we definitely rely on that peer learning and that peer-to-peer support. So there definitely is room. We always leave space for that in all of our programming, whether it's virtual or in person.
Awesome. Okay, April, that's all Fund 17 has on their end. And I'm gonna go ahead and paste a couple of these links in. And the last partner that I also wanna highlight is Trupwise. They are offering free strategy sessions to any New Orleans-based organizations in general. They're designing effective digital meetings and supportive remote environment for teams, customers, and other stakeholders. They're assisting in planning, considering the potential scenarios. And the last thing I want to end with is when it comes to scenarios, it sometimes can be difficult to think about maybe having to take a step back and looking at, I wouldn't say closing shop, but what does it look like to not do business for a couple of weeks or for a couple of months? And that's definitely a conversation that I know at Fund 17 we've had with some entrepreneurs where they've thought about, okay, what does it look like for me to take a step back and take a break, but still continue to market myself? And we know at Trupwise, when they talk about those different scenarios, that's looking at A, B, C, all the way to D. So echoing what April said earlier, don't be afraid to reach out and have those conversations, and lean on the resources and the wonderful network that we have here in New Orleans, with great partners.
Thanks again. And then I'll just add, as far as the library resources, I'm not sure if everyone here is familiar with lynda.com. They were acquired by LinkedIn Learning, but they do still have a lynda.com library. And there's normally a monthly fee, but it is freely accessible through your public library membership, either through New Orleans Public Library or Jefferson Parish Library. I just put a link to the New Orleans Library, and then also LinkedIn has released some of the courses that are related to time management, working from home, or just planning meetings virtually, all of that type of stuff. Anything related to having to work online is now freely available directly through LinkedIn Learning. For LinkedIn members, you don't have to pay for the usual learning subscription. We've definitely covered a lot today. We had a ton of information.
Yeah, I feel like we all said, here's the info. And I did also just want to share a resource for you all, or people but if you do like to work out and you don't have a virtual workout platform already, a good friend of mine just started a program called Sweat and Social Distance. I put a link in the chat, where she's going on every day doing live workouts with people. And, it's really fun, just kind of promoting the idea of, staying active while we're at home.
and, just kind of offering support, while we're socially distanced from our usual workout routines and workout buddies and so forth. So there's that. And other than that, we are right at time. Does anybody have any final questions for any of our guests, comments?
I just want to say thank you to everyone on this call, to True Funds, to SCORE, LSBDC, SBA. Last week on one of the city phone calls, I believe it was Classy Duncan who highlighted how important it is to partner right now. And I think today we kind of saw the power of partnership, where we have a boatload of information. So I just want to say thank you to everyone on this call, and to Jay for organizing this. It's definitely important during times like these.
I just want to thank everybody for participating. Like Ashley said, it's important to really partner and get together at times like this. It's really important to do that in any time of business, because the relationships would help drive the business forward. But even more so now, since we're social distancing, we have to find ways to connect with each other and connect in a positive and productive manner. So I appreciate everybody coming out to participate and sharing a lot of good information.
This is LaShonda from True Fund. Thank you so much for having us. Let us know if we can be of service anytime.
Thank you.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll end here, and we'll make the recording available to everybody, and we'll see you at the next one.